So we can talk over this. Let's fine up the countdown because people are just going to hear that on the recording, which to me is hilarious. Yeah.
Oh man.
Dude, I saw all the stuff and then I saw the stuff disappear and I'm like, of course it did. So we can talk over.
Look at this. You see this?
Yeah, no, trust me. I saw that when I logged on and I'm like, need it. Plus the Batman. I'm gonna tell Robert which one I want. And I'm gonna go like, Robert, I need this piece from him, and then I'll get the Hellboy and the Batman. It's just too wicked. Did you do that on watercolor paper too? Cold press?
Yeah, I did these on watercolor, and then I sort of attached them to a wood block, and then that's how I sold them. I think maybe 3 years ago.
Nice.
I think 2-3 years ago. Man, it all blends together, so it's kind of weird.
You know what's funny is people can hear us right now and they're making comments of like, we can hear you, but like, no, this is intentional. We know. It is absolutely intentional. And they gave us hours tonight. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. Excellent. Excellent.
You knew that, right?
Yeah.
So, hey.
How's it going?
Welcome to the Chuck Jones ComicCon, virtual ComicCon at home. And naturally, you would wear something for ComicCon. And being casual, not wearing pants. But I am wearing the top, so that it's all business. And tonight, we have, like, this is an anniversary. It's a 1-year anniversary. And
True.
So, yeah, no, you can jump in. So I'm just gonna skip the normal stuff and just say Fabio is on live with us today. Fabio, welcome to the Chuck Jones Creativeside chat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for having me back again for the, I don't know how many years now, 7, 8, 10. But I'm honored that I get asked to every year to do this. And I enjoy creating the pieces I have. There's no rhyme or reason to them. I think of something and I'm like, holy cow, I've never done that. Let's just do it. Or sometimes this year I got a great idea from Scott. I reached out that Mike had an idea that came to mind and he wanted to see if it was possible, if I could do it. And I did. So I look forward to talking about all of these and, of course, having a humorous time for the next hour or two until they tell us that we've had enough. And
well, you know what I think is awesome is they actually gave us the 2-hour slot this time, just like the very first time we met. Because if you rewind the clock, let's go TBA, okay? This is Comic-Con week, all right? And if you haven't watched the Loki series, whatever, catch up. Let's go TBA. We're going to rewind the clock, right? And we're going to go back a year. By the way, what are you drinking right now? Because as requested, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. What is it? What is yours?
Negroni.
Negroni. I should have wondered. I have a pomegranate margarita. And because I forgot to fill the ice trays, I just used a whole lot of frozen fruit. So my man, as requested by the audience, cheers. We got a long way to go. Sweet.
So, this is only 4.5 ounces. You know that, right? It's big. It looks gigantic if I do that. But it's really not. It's little.
This is 1 liter.
1 liter. Well, it's been nice knowing you. I'm going to say goodbye to your liver now. And
tequila, sweet and sour, pomegranate juice, just a splash of 7-Up, just a splash.
Oh, well, we know someone that's here next to me that loves tequila. So
when we're down by you, man, Nicole, I got the bar open and so I wanted to reminisce just for a second because you got some incredible stuff. You showed me some stuff early and I was like, dude, it's gonna disappear. Sure enough, I was right. But a year ago, before we were doing pre-interviews, we were just trying the stuff out. And they were like, all right, we're going to do this Comic-Con weekend. I'm like, all right, we need you to host or whatever. I'm like, sure. And it's Fabio Napoleoni. And I'm like, I got to get this dude's name. And they're like, you're going to meet him. Like, all right, we got to get on. We're going to get on like 20 minutes beforehand. I'm like, sure. All right, you got a 2-hour interview. What? and never met you, right? Saw some stuff, knew of your art, but never met you. And we got to know each other 20 minutes before a 2-hour date. And I want to say it went very well, right? And then we had subsequent times, got another one, then you interviewed me and we chit chat back and forth. So I thought it only fitting that I could say happy anniversary in a way that was from me to you, right? So, but I know what a Hulk fan you are, right? I know what a Hulk fan you are. And I did this for my son in 2012, right? So I needed some new art for his room. He got a new thing and I had this like style on whatever. So I'm pretty sure it's not copyright infringement because unless I say the Hulk, are you really gonna know? I don't know. But I only did the one. I did this digitally and then I printed it on canvas and then he's got a big one hanging in his room. So I printed the second one for you and I got it. And so I'm gonna ship this to you. This is my whacked out Hulk. Now it's only 12 by 16. You can put it in the back door behind the bathroom. It can go, whatever. That way, if you didn't have space or didn't really care, I don't know. If you got a dog, so maybe you got a dog cage. I don't know. But this is my happy anniversary gift to you, sir.
I appreciate it, Ben. Thank you very much. There is room on the Hulk wall. So, and the Hulk wall is directly across from my son's bedroom. And as soon as Nicole walks out of her office, there it is. There's the little Hulk sketches. There's a gigantic Ross Hulk that just unbelievable. Be proud to hang your Hulk right among the mix.
I mean, you don't have, I mean, you can say that and it's awesome. And if it doesn't happen, it's okay. But I appreciate You're like, where did that thing ever go? You'd be like, that spot in the garage, in the bench thing, dude, it props up the best stuff. It's just the right size. So
what we'll do is we'll put it, well, actually Lauren's bathroom is right the next door. We'll just keep it in there. And when you go, hey, I live in Orlando or Tampa and I'm coming over, I'll be like, oh, we better get the Ben Olson out. Put it on the wall.
And then I just feel good. And I'm like, oh, it was nothing, dude. I just, it's a little anniversary.
It's been there the whole time.
I'll tell my wife, I'm like, did you see he was that kind of thing? So we got tonight, as we get going, we've got a ton of great artwork to show
Cool.
that blow your mind. We're going to get into all kinds of things. If you're watching on YouTube, you can pop comments in. We have people monitoring that. If you're watching on Zoom tonight, which we have a lot of people in the Zoom room, which is great, you can pop Q&A questions or just pop it in the chat. I'll read stuff off to Fabio, and we're going to show some things. We're going to talk some stuff. We're going to have a good time as we normally do. And as in true fashion, I got in 15 minutes before this thing, and we haven't had a pre-interview, so we're going to rock and roll. There's so much to cover in this, and I went chuckjonescatalog.com. The // have a whole lot of hyphens. So if you go to chuckjonescatalog.com, at the top, you will see Fabio Napoleoni, SDCC. I can read 2021. That's his folder. That's where you can see all the stuff as we're going to go through tonight. And he's got some killer gift with purchases. I'm already going to tell Robert when we get to the piece that that one, and then I get the 2 gift with purchase things, which I'm so excited because I still have whoop, right here on the desk. It doesn't leave the desk. Nobody's allowed to touch them. All right, so you have been busy, and that's probably putting it lightly. And what I wanted to get into tonight to start things off was, last year things are moving all around. We're not doing anything live, and you have an opportunity to do some stuff. And I've pre-ordered it on Amazon already. So we've got your first children's book coming out, which you've just been going busters on. How did that all come about? And when you think of like where you started, what was it, like September or something on it, and where you're at now, the amount of work that has gone in, has got to be a love project. So tell me a little bit about Dragon Boy.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because it's so when I started in this business officially in 2008 in September. I had a publisher and I worked with him for about 6 years. And through that time, the artwork grew and grew and grew. But this guy, here's I can say it now because it's been I've been on my own without my publisher for 7 years. So this little guy was actually created just shortly after I had signed my publishing deal. You know, I was sort of working on creating different characters, but as in the publishing, in my contract with my publisher, there was a certain amount of characters that were in there, specifically named. You know, Marcinivo, Blue, Marissa, Remy, and maybe 6 or 7 characters, and that was it. That's basically what he was interested in. So, you know, it's I'm sure you've experienced this too, where you can't just stop creating and just focus on one specific character, because I don't know, me, it drives me insane. I mean, I know I have a project to do, but then I'll just go off in a different direction because that's where my mind is going. So Dragon Boy, the concept of Dragon Boy was also in the fall of 2008, but I sort of kept him to myself. And the same thing with Draco, the same thing with Darwin, all these little characters I kind of drew and kind of set aside. And on, you know, the economy had also crashed in 2008. So I went from, you know, making a good amount of money through eBay, then signing a contract, and you can't compete with your publisher. So I had to go with zero money for a little bit until I was able to sell some of these guys on eBay under a pen name. So for the next two and a half years or so, I basically created a bunch of little characters that I was selling on the side, Dragon Boy being one of them. So in my, you know, the Napoleoni art kept growing and growing and growing. And I, you know, honestly, I thought, like, who's going to buy this stuff? It's expensive. And I wasn't expecting people to support it. And then a fan page started, and then the line started of people connecting to the art. I wasn't expecting that. So like I said, you know, my publisher and I parted ways in 2015. I took over my own business, started publishing, printing, and representing myself, along with my beautiful wife, who's manages the business aspect of it. Moved to Florida, and my very first show was in Miami in 2015, and that's where I sort of gave a little hint of Dragon Boy was coming. And at Pop Gallery in February or March of 2015 was the very first time that Dragon Boy was shown to the public under my name, not under the pen name, which then caused a little bit of question, like, wait a minute, I thought this was this guy, or you're that guy. So then, you know, for the next couple of years, I had to explain who, you know, Danny Ocean or Artsy Fartsy Artworks were, and that was me. So,
wait,
you know,
wait a second, you were Danny Ocean?
Yeah. You know who Danny Ocean is?
I did totally know. Yeah, come on now.
Okay.
Ocean's 11, dude. Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13.
Yeah. Well, but yes, prior to George Clooney, it was Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah. So, I that's how I signed all my artwork. The pen name was Danny Ocean. So, anyway, you know, Dragon Boy took off. He started, and then you know, prior to 2015, I had met a gentleman named David Corbett, who fell in love with Marcinivo, but then was in awe of this little boy and a dragon who has this imagination and is you know, his little stuffed animals come to life. And David had asked me, you know, certain things that I wanted to achieve in my career. And one of them, I said, well, you know, I'd like to do a children's book. I think it would be awesome. And something with animation or TV or something like that. So, you know, the children's book happened. I got a 3-book deal with Little Brown Books. And then the animation, that's we'll see. We'll see where that goes. And, you know, there are things in the works with that, nothing's been greenlit, but that's the, you know, the adventures of this guy right here. So that's this is officially the book. I can't crack it open. I don't think I'm supposed to, but that's the book directly behind me. They sent me a copy of it in advance, and it looks pretty cool. I'm amazed.
So like,
yeah.
It's just you and me on here. So if you
yeah.
want to go, but nobody else is.
So I can't open it, but this is it.
But like, if it accidentally fell and opened up, by itself.
Yeah, I don't want lawyers showing up at my house tomorrow. So.
So I've pre-ordered mine on Amazon already, just to let you know. And I'm super stoked because I can't wait to see what you have coming and the whole storyline behind it.
Yeah, it's a really neat book. There's a couple of subjects in there that are touched. And I think Little Brown Books was just the right people. I've worked with them, man, over almost 2 years in just getting that book done. And that's also because of COVID. But putting kids' books together, it's not an easy thing. I thought I've tackled some hard things in the art business, like trying to get Scooby and this or the Tasmanian Devil right sitting on, the right scenes. And I stress over that. This thing right here, it's just because I want it to be really good. And I want the artwork in it to be superb. So, the revisions and everything else, it's a labor of love, and it'll be out in another month and a half, I think.
September is the ship
14th.
date.
Yeah, September 14th.
So,
And then right now, working on book number 2. So that was, prior to us hopping on, I was talking to Scott, and I was telling him about how certain, there's deadlines, there's shows and things like that I need to work on, but there's also stuff for them, revisions, and they have deadlines too. So, as soon as I landed in Maine, we had driven up for the month. I literally sat at my kitchen table and drew for solid 2 days, about 40 sketches or so of revisions for them to go through and then get back to me on what I should change, whether this hand goes up or add a character, remove a character, use a different angle. So it's a unique aspect of doing things. For me, it is anyway. Well, probably not for guys who do it all the time.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you got guys to do it all the time started to have somewhere, right? So you're just kind of getting, which is great. I love that. And we've got, again, you can pop questions in the Q&A. Mike Bartelmo is saying tomorrow's National Tequila Day. So yes, naturally, I knew that ahead of time. And and am I really pantsless? No, I have shorts on, but not the full suit. So Greg, however, would love to see what the gift with purchase is. And I'm like, why not show it right now? And let's get people excited about this. I'm excited about that. So Tyler, I believe there are 3 books in the series. Is that correct?
Correct. There will be 3, yes.
3 books. All right. We've got book number 1 dropping September 17th. All right. So Fabio, if people purchase something tonight, which is going to be me also.
Okay. What are you going to get, Ben? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So from a few years ago, I had done probably one of the coolest ones, because he's just off the cuff and a rebel sort of in the sense of superheroes. I don't know if he really is a superhero. It's kind of the dark side, but it is hell. Where'd it go? Oh, let me get it. Oh, you get it. Oh, there it is.
Yes.
So you're going to get this Hellboy pin right here. And his little ring around the eye is yellow. And he looks orange, but he is a beautiful, bright red. And his beard is not black, but it is nickel. See it?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. So it will look silver at one point, but they will look jet black at another. It's fantastic.
It is going to
So you're going to get this.
Yes.
So if you made a purchase through these guys, they're gonna send because we're still sort of the not the COVID but the virtual thing. So stuff is still being shipped from here. So if you order one of these and if it's going back to the gallery, then this will go to them. Or if it's being drop shipped to you, we'll throw this in a tube for you. And then I wish Ben would have shared that he was going to wear the Captain America suit, because I was debating whether I was going to do another Captain America giveaway or this guy right here. What? So what we went is we went with the classic Batman. Batman. So
Batman is my #1 favorite.
So this is it. And I believe the title of this piece is BAM! So right? I think that's what it was. So yeah, you're gonna get this, and this one's I feel like it's a little larger than my typical little minis. This one's 6x4. So you're gonna get these with whatever it is that these guys. I don't know if they have a certain restriction or requirement, but that is what you're going to get. As a freebie.
Can the requirement like the cost thing? Robert, do you need to tell me how much I need to spend before that? Because I love my pieces, right? And I have to be adding to my Fabio collection tonight. I just need to know like what the minimum is, and if I can get away with a limited edition, and if I can, do I get those things? I sound cheap. I'm not cheap. I'm kind of cheap, but I'm not cheap.
Well, Ben, you gifted me with a beautiful first anniversary, so I will return the favor and gift you. Don't ask Patrick. Buy whatever. Buy a pack of gum from Chuck Jones. I will send you.
All right, I
will send you those.
By the way, I didn't give you an anniversary gift just to be like, all right, dude, whatever you have, just thing.
No, I showed my wife. When you sent me the Marcinivo Loki you did.
Yeah.
Which I shared with you. I won't say their names. Okay. Because they do have my phone number. But there are other artists that have done him. And they're in books over here where they have signed and they're not as good as yours, Ben.
Well,
that's on it. I showed the wife she was driving and I was, being co-pilot.
Right.
And I showed her and she's like, whoa. So it's good. I just might pass it off with my own.
You could sign your own name to it. I'll white label the thing. I don't care. So Scott says that any purchase tonight, which is
awesome.
Yeah. So well, and I gotta tell you, dude, when I saw the Loki series, and which I loved, I don't know if you've seen the whole thing.
We have not. We started.
It's a train that just keeps going up. So I loved it. Anyway, I got to the end of that thing, right? And I was doing some like stuff with, you were sending me texts and whatnot. And my son and I were playing Call of Duty World War II. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to draw. I got to draw this as Loki. Like for him, this is just a fan art thing to be like, here you go. And because I love how what's the word I'm looking for? It's how versatile Marcinivo in everything. I'm look at that. I got the Stan Lee, I've got the Deadpool, I'm going to get the Hellboy and the Batman. And like your character is just so versatile in what you can do with it. And it just cracks me up and I love the design. So it was just a fan art piece for you. Just a fan art piece.
I appreciate it. It's cool. It's cool. You, very cool.
So, okay, books are not eligible, but that's okay because we're not selling books tonight. It was just, he's like, caveat, no, not the book, just the artwork. So, let's get into, and I caught this thankfully as I hopped on tonight because I didn't know that. You produced a whole new set of pieces, and we'll text each other back and forth sometimes and stuff. And you showed me like the stuff, like your sketches that you were doing with the Dragalorian and all that jazz. And I didn't realize you were doing all this on vacation. And so you were like busting away, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, dang. I'm like, I need that. I'm like, my bank account is going to get drained. I'm like, where's that child credit stimulus check from the government? Because that's all going to Fabio. And I'm like, sorry, dear. I'm like, I know that faucet you wanted to put in the busted shower up in the front. It's going to have to wait. So I went through and as we get into show some pieces and talk a little bit more about stuff, I found your statement on like how you felt about kind of the realization of something. And, as you're going to showcase the pieces tonight, and your house up in Maine is where you were creating at. And I want you to set the stage on that, because what I want the audience to know tonight is this, like, obviously Fabio's produced some wicked awesome artwork and there's always meaning to it and everything he pours in. But this, what we're going to show tonight and what's available is something truly unique, because this could be the last of an era of things for him. And how you felt. And I want you to explain it, because I heard that and I was like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, and the fact that it hit you today and you're like, man, maybe this is the last time. So the speciality behind it, Creative for Tonight up in Maine has taken.
Sure. Yeah. So today, while I was sitting here, I had mentioned it to Nicole before, and I said this could be the possibility that this could happen. But in reality, it's probably going to happen for real. I've lived in Maine for 31 years, and then we moved to Florida 7 years ago. In 2 weeks, it'll be 7 years. But prior to Lauren's birth, we started building a home. And then, at the same time, we found out Lauren had her heart condition. So while Lauren is a couple of months old, myself and my father-in-law and a couple of guys basically that I grew up with in this small town were building a house. We lived in Maine. So, we had just lived there maybe in this home that we just spent the last month of July in. The house literally had just been finished. We had moved in 10 days and Lauren had her first sort of heart failure, or not really heart failure, but her valves sort of gave out where we had to rush her to the hospital. And that's where everything began. So we had literally lived in this house for 10 days. And then back and forth for the next 4.5 months, we barely lived in a house we had just spent 4.5 months building, and it just sat there. Our son, who was only 6 at the time, Marcus, aka Dragon Boy, he lived with Nikki's parents who were down the street, or my mother who lived a few miles away. But the house was there. So this year, due to COVID, Nicole begged me. She was like, please, I go to Maine for like a week or 2 tops every year. But this year she was like, we haven't seen parents. My grandfather's getting older. So let's go for a month. And I was like, sure, why not? I'll do the Chuck Jones stuff there. I used to literally paint at my kitchen table. And if you guys could see this table, it used to be this beautiful Ashley furniture, hardwood, beautiful, beautiful table. It is destroyed. I destroyed that table. This guy right here destroyed it. Painting on it.
Wait, hold on a second. You say destroyed it. I'll bet if you signed it, you could sell that in about 5 seconds. Anyway.
So it's the chairs are still splattered with paint. It's bad. So I brought bags upon bags, literally bags of paints and brushes, the canvases that you'll see behind me, the one in front of me, all the paper you see here. A majority of these paints behind me all came with me, stuck on top of the pod in the car, and we took off. And it hit me today as we were there, and it was as though we always had this eye on a little piece of property closer to, we live across the street from a lake. And it always hit us that we'd like to be closer to that lake so we can actually see it, opposed to being separated by woods. So this opportunity came up and we're like, we should do it, but we have to sell the other house. So it hit me today as I was working on this piece that was showing a little bit, that all of the artwork that you're going to see here is probably the last time I will paint in that home. And that's where my art career started. We built the house in 2004. My art career started in 2008, and we moved here, but we still have a house there. So it was weird because as we left, as the night before we left, all of Lauren's artwork that she had drawn these little pet shop characters, and she called it like a pet shop gallery. So when you went down into the basement, right at the bottom of the basement, there was about 10 or plus little pieces of paper that she had drawn on. So I picked all those off the wall and brought them back with me. There's a sign above the door that's actually featured in Your Love Is My Home, that sign actually is here in Florida. We brought it with us. My son's handprint that was over his room there, that came back with us. We brought things that meant things to us because we're going to sell a house. So it hit me today. You know, we got here yesterday at around like 6. And then today, while I was sitting here, I was like, holy crap. Probably if next time I paint in Maine, it'll probably be at a different location. It won't be at the house that we've had for 17 years.
So, I mean, which is, you know, when you think about that, there's, especially, you know, we're busy, we got things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have those moments where you're like, it just kind of sinks in and you're like, oh, and here's another phase of things. And I thought it was a great kind of realization that you had mentioned on like before we went live. And I'm like, man, I'm like, that's especially because, you know, this whole thing started there, you know, all the history that you have with it. And look where you're at now. And it was like, that was kind of the birth of all of this stuff. So
it's the kids were really, we talked about it a couple days prior, and the kids are like, you can't sell the house. Our heights are up. Like you can't. Mark is going to be 23, and he's like, you can't sell a house. Like my height is on the wall from when I was 6. So literally, the wall that separates the living room to the kitchen. We even measured our dog. She's 12 years old now, and we were measuring her height from when she was just a puppy. So you know what I mean? Her height goes along, and over the years, we've had friends go. Lawrence had her friends come over to the house, and their heights are on that wall too. So it's and my nephews. It's sad, but I guess it's part of life and growth, and I have to look at it in a positive way, because when we, you know, times weren't always the easiest, living in Maine and then, you know, buying a house, and then 4 years later, the economy crashes and you're like, holy crap, you know, are we going to be one of those people that loses their home? Fortunately, we weren't. You know, we were one of those fortunate people that just gave up other things to make sure that we kept that house. And now there it is. And I, you know, we know certain people that would love to live in it. So I'm sure if we're going to be super picky at who ends up buying it. So it's not just somebody with money. They'll have to be a specific type of person. So.
And they're going to get who knows? They may even get a housewarming gift of a certain anniversary Hulk picture behind a bathroom.
Dude, the walls in the basement. The walls in the basement have characters painted on them.
See. I mean, basically walking into the museum. So we got, first of all, to Darnell, who says, thanks for going the extra mile and wearing the suit. Dude, it's my distinct pleasure. And if I'm being completely honest, if somebody asked me to wear this to the grocery store to go shopping, I'd do it. We also, Steve purchased the Scooby original behind you and is.
Oh.
So thank you, Steve. Getting into kind of what you've created in these things. So I'm going to bring up art supplies in this for a moment. And then Mike, don't worry, we're going to get to your question about the F-bomb pin when we get into some stuff in a little bit. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to do it now. When are you going to release an F-bomb pin? Okay,
so the last show I did, was a couple of months ago, and I will show them to you now. These are not, let's just make it clear, these are not the bombs that are available. These are actually either prototypes or my personal pieces. So these are resin. These are geez, I almost smacked myself in the face with it. These weigh about 4.5 pounds, so that would hurt. And the wick is rope. And what I do with these are all handmade by a local artist named Mike Best, who lives about 20 minutes down the street from me. He has several molds. He makes them all. And then after they're done, he sands them to make sure they're a specific shape. Sometimes he paints some gloss or matte. I leave that completely up to him. I just love opening the boxes and finding one that's super glossy. The next one is matte. The next one is like semi-gloss. I don't, they're whatever. But what I do with these is, as you can see on this one is hearts all the way around. Sometimes there are trees, sometimes there are little spaceships, sometimes a combination of all three. So this is not the one that's going to be available, but the staff at Chuck Jones, 2 of these are being made, and as soon as they arrive here, 2 of them will be shipped to Chuck Jones. So if you are interested in one of these bombs, they have 2 available. These guys go fast. I mean, I get them here, and within a day, as soon as I try to just, be fair to everybody, give 2 to you, 2 to you, and 2 to you, these guys go pretty fast because, again, they're handmade. They're not machine clumped together. So these take about, I don't know, about 6 weeks or so. He's a busy man. He also has other projects. And I appreciate that he does these for me. He doesn't have to, but he does. So when these come, which I'm hoping it'll be in about another 2 weeks or so, these will get signed, doodled on, and shipped to Chuck Jones. So there'll be 2 of these available.
And as a caveat, just so they know,
yes,
speak to your consultant for details on those, because they'll have, it's not on the site. This is, you go through your consultant.
Yeah, exactly. And these are all, I draw on them. Every single one of them is unique. No 2 are the same. And I mean that in every sense, because you will see sometimes the top here is a little different. And they look round, like look at those 2 like little plump eggs. And you can see that those are completely different than this one. The only thing they have in common really is the F, and they weigh about 4.5 to 5 pounds.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
So it also serves as a deterrent for anybody coming into your house that shouldn't be in your house.
Yes, because he has assured me you can wing these around.
See? Yes. Like a mini.
My wife's going like, don't do that. Don't encourage that behavior. Okay, and then these are also done by a great Canadian artist named Steve Thomas Greer. And he, again, this is, I reached out and I said, hey, I have this design. Can you do something with it? Now, he has a professional sign business. He makes signs for malls, independent companies, things like that. So these are sort of like wall plaques. They hang like this. These puppies are heavy too. They're about 3 pounds because there is a hardcore plastic and then it is metal on the outside. The heart is the same way. So is the black, the white, and the clear is plexiglass. And it is about, what's like 1/4 inch, maybe 1/8. It's pretty heavy, pretty thick. But there's certain layers to it. See how they're all stacked?
Yes.
These, this is what they look like when they arrive to me. What they arrive at Chuck Jones, again, they will be doodled on. They will look like the one I'm about to show you next. Every single one of them is different. They will have 2 of these available. These are also all handmade, and they'll be here in about another week or so. So if you're interested in one of the love bombs, let them know. They will have 2 available. And let me put them here. And then here's the other F-bomb. So I haven't told you the size of these. These are 16 inches tall from the top of the wig down to the bottom, and they're 12 inches wide. These are pretty big. These guys are just 6-inch round. Quite a difference there. So, and then these are constructed the same way, but this is a prime example of, this one's personally mine. The F is filled with F words. So.
Not the F.
Not the F word. It is filled with F words. So
F words. It's
just F words.
Right. We didn't see which F words.
But this is what you would get.
Like
that.
Frank, Billy.
Exactly. Fortunate, festive, fair, fun, funny, freedom, But you will also have 2 of those. So if you're interested in a wall metal F-bomb, let your consultant know at Chuck Jones. They will have 2 of those available as well.
All right, so let's get into some supply stuff, because you trucked up an art store with you up to Maine, and I told Daniel last night when we did the show with Daniel Killen I'm gonna ask this of all the artists because I know I have this distinct feeling that we all have this thing. Like you go into an art store and like there's supplies you might use and you might buy this one supply more than you use it because it's like a thing. They're like, oh, I'll take that. So you know, for me, it was like when I go into like I like going to Blick because a couple blocks down the way. I spend a lot of money there. I love the guys. They have a lot of things. So every time I go in, right, I'm when I do all my sketches before I do ink or pencil over or whatnot, I have, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Karin D Ash Ake, whatever. I don't know, ACHE, whatever it is, right? Somebody tell me. So I get these every time. Now in my thing, my pencil case, right? I've already got 2 in here, right? I've got 2 in there. I've got one that's like only 3 inches left. I've got 2 more in the thing. But I go in and I did this last week. I went into the art store and I was not looking for that at all. I was looking for, I don't even know what I was looking for. I think like a tube. And I'm like, oh, pencils, not even in the same aisle, right? Bought it. and then I love these, you know, what I did the stuff that I use is these Pigma brush pens. I love these things, right?
Yeah.
They only come in a pack of 3. That's what I did the thing for you with. And I love these things. I like using the bold tip one. It comes in a fine, a medium, a bold. Now, I use the bold one the most. Therefore, I have these and fine tips that are left. So it's $12 for a set. It's not that bad, but you cannot buy the bold by itself.
Yeah.
So what did I do last week while I was by the pencils and I looked across? Oh, there's a 3-pack. Sure, I'll buy one. Did I need it? No. Did I buy it? Yes. So like there's this. And then lastly, if you saw the show last night, you heard me say this, Scott. Unbelievable. You know what? I'm trying to have a moment here with Fabio. You know what I'm going to do for you, Scott? I'm just going to do both of them at the same time. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. This is for Scott to rush this part. Paper. There it is. This is the kind of like black Strathmore art game, Strathmore Bristol. Why? Because it's why? Because it's a smooth black. Scott.
That's what this is, my friend. This is Strathmore.
See?
I have used it since I started doodling and selling my art in 2001. It is the only paper I use. So and I've used it since.
Now, I have pads of these paper. I didn't need any more, but it was $6. And I'll take $6 paper. And I just bought it anyway. I went in for a tube of paint. I bought like 8 other things. So is there something when you go into the art store that you're like, yep, and it just jumps in the cart? You're there for markers, you're there for some ink, and here comes X. What would that be?
Well, for one, there is an art store here, and every time I go in, I can't help myself but buy these Sharpie oil markers. If I could lift the drawer up, hold on. It is just stupid how many of them are in here. Like this. Like, you don't need this.
No.
Like, there is no need. And here's the sad part. There's a box over there that I use to do remarks on canvases. That thing is full too. I do that. But if I order online and I go through Dick Blick, I could be like, man, I need a specific blue. And for some reason, 20 Deerfoot brushes end up in my cart and I buy them every time. And there's a jar like right here. And this was the last time I ordered. Why do I do this?
I don't.
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
I totally understand. I get the number 4 round. Why do I do it? I have 8 of them. I don't know because I'm like,
this is a 1/4-inch Deerfoot, and that is my most versatile brush. I use it for everything. Things that you're like, how did you get a thin line like that from a Deerfoot? Like, that's impossible. But I shape them too. That's the other thing too. Giving you a trade secret, giving you a secret. But I shade them. So so I do that, and then I also I can't underneath here. There is a bucket that I saw one time, and the brushes that's how I get my canvases wet and stuff like that, and the watercolor and everything. But I saw this bucket, and I kid you not, it was like this, and it had 200 brushes in it. That was 7 years ago. I still have the brushes, but it was such a good deal
Yes.
that I could not pass it up. And then I thought to myself, oh man, these are pretty cheap brushes. Should I be using them? And then again, I'm not going to mention the artist, but I went into a gallery and this artist was there, who is also world renowned in what he does. And he was using those brushes.
See?
And I was like, interesting. So these camel bum hairs or beaver tail, whatever that you get that are $100, that's uncalled for.
You don't need it. I have had, because I looked at the same thing. I'm like, wow. I'm like, if I'm gonna paint like this stuff, I'm like, maybe I do need to go for like the number flat brush that's like $84. I'm like, why would I do that? You know what I got? I got 20 brushes in a pack from Blick for like $12.95. And those are fantastic. I don't know what hairs are on it. I don't know if it's synthetic, but I don't care because they're great. So
listen, it could be back hair. I don't care. It works.
Yeah, it could. Which would be like Captain Jack, and then if when you're done using it for a brush, you just
exactly,
and you lasso a couple of sea turtles and you escape an island. It's so versatile. I even went today because I had to get something, and I picked up. Now I'm particular about paper. You're particular about paper. I love the fact that you use cold pressed watercolor paper in a lot of your stuff.
Yep.
And I can only do the Bristol stuff. I love, that's what a lot of sketches are on, or I'll do like a Strathmore textured like halftones or dark paper.
Yep.
I got a Canson 80 pounds, slightly textured 19 by 25 sheet. I don't know what's going to happen to this thing, but it's beautiful. And I bought 4. I bought 4 when I needed one, because if you bought 4, you got one free. $12 later instead of $3.30, but I got it free.
I hear you, man. I mean, right, there's a folder right here between my printers that it's a habit that I got into again when I started 20 years ago selling on eBay. You had to make the best of every dollar I had. So you could buy the size you want, a 9 by 12 or 11 by 14, or you could buy a 30 by 22 or a 30 by 40 piece of paper that was literally the price of 2 of those.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm going to do this. So I started folding them, tearing them in half, folding them, tearing them in half. So then you end up with a piece of paper. Sometimes it has all the edges that are deckled. Sometimes it only has 3. Sometimes it only has 2. But I've been doing the same thing, buying giant pieces of paper and tearing them, because now, since I started doing this, these 7 by 11 pieces of paper is what I'm known for. This is when you get a pen and ink and somebody's like, I have a Napoleoni pen and ink and it's 8 by 10. People are like, bull, he only does 7 by 11. I know this.
Such a lot. Yes.
So I still have the giant piece. I still do it. And when I buy them, I'm the same way. I look at Blake and I'm like, if I buy 25 of them, it's like buying 15. Okay. So yeah, I'm the same way, man. You're not going to change that out of me.
No. And you know what? When I go in, which is why Blake loves it when I show up, and I get my use out of my rewards, I think. But they, they're just, it's more like, oh, Mr. Olson, like, can we show you one of these things over? I'm like, don't worry, I'll wander into something. And, I wander into something every time. So, getting onto this paper thing and what you have, because here's what I want to show the audience tonight, not this giant margarita. I want to show them what you did with, all right, what was the first star? It was for May the 4th. I think it was for May the 4th. And what did you did, was it the Chewbacca one or?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want you to show some of your, like, we're just talking about paper and pen and inks. Let's show some pen and inks. And when you did these, I was like, it was explicatives, I think, in there. There was lots of capital letters and exclamation marks. And I'm like, shut up. So I thought it was brilliant. So let's see some of these bad boys.
So so this year, of course, we watched The Mandalorian, and we were just in awe. And then season 2 was awesome, and it's just a fantastic show. And I thought of doing Marcinivo as The Mandalorian, and I really don't know what happened. I started, I think this guy must have been working on the book or doing sketches or something, but Dragon Boy as the Mandalorian and sort of Draco as is it Grogu? Am I correct there?
Yeah, you are correct.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be kind of funny to do sort of Draco, but with the little funny ears. So this is Dragonlorian. This is Dragon Boy.
Is freaking brilliant. I'm gonna salute you this way. It's freaking brilliant. Look at that. Come on.
Captain America.
Well, you know what? They're all owned by the same parent. It's all the same family.
That's true. I loved it, and I thought it like I did it for fun on my iPad, and then you sent me the message, and then other people were like, "Is that for sale?" I'm like, "No, it's a sketch on my iPad. I can't sell you my iPad." So
you could, but you could. Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed this. This is really cool. And I noticed this morning too, as again, I was doing these in Maine and trying to get some work done in the morning and then spend the afternoon with my in-laws and my kids and my wife. So I had forgot to put the little line, the little shadow across his face.
Oh yeah.
I added that today. So whoever purchased this piece from Chuck Jones will notice that now it has the missing sort of the T across his face.
Wait, like purchase or purchased? Is that
purchased? Yeah. If this has been sold, I think the image that I sent didn't have that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I added it. I did, I think four.
Yeah, you did.
Four Star Wars pieces. This was another one that you saw. And it is Darwin as Chewbacca.
Which is just really I saw that.
Yeah.
Like, duh. Yes.
Yeah, it came out really good. I like the mean look to his face. He typically does. He just doesn't have a mean look.
No.
He's a very adorable little character. And I just thought, again, like I thought to myself, like, why haven't I done this before? It isn't like this guy's been around for 5-6 years. Why didn't I think of that? So yeah, and then this piece, I don't know if I really, really want, sometimes I don't know if you do this, Ben, but sometimes I title pieces because I just wonder how the consultant is going to tell the client what the title is. Like, for instance, or,
yes.
Or in this case,
one more time. I didn't get that. Just so I can hear it one more time.
My wife, when we first started dating, we lived in this tiny apartment, and I used to do that down the hallway, and I know that I could hear her skin crawling in anger.
Just from the noise.
Oh, she'd be like, "Oh my God, she's still doing it now, and we've been together for decades. So she's like, "Okay, that's still not funny."
Yeah, that's
still not funny.
But do you get like the Yoda? Do they go like, "Hey, can you," like my kids will be like, "Do the Chewbacca thing," because as you can see, that's my giant, which kind of looks like Darwin a little bit. So it only
I can see it. Nose, yeah,
he makes noise, and so they'll be like, "Do the Yoda, do the whatever," and I'm like, "All right, fine," and you get through it, but I can understand.
I don't know. I like it. I think it's funny.
I'm all for. I mean, I understand that'll be like a you and me thing when we're hanging out. I'd be like, "Dude, do the Chewbacca thing again."
You got to do yours, Ben.
What?
You got to do yours.
Chewbacca or Yoda?
No, the Chewbacca.
All right. You have to lift. It's got to be a lift.
Yeah. Oh, you have to. It's a,
yeah.
My wife's over here like,
She's
okay,
like,
move on. Move on with the show.
You
So then this is this one's probably my favorite out of all of them. And so here's Jimmy as X-Men fighter. So there he is. And I tried to look at all the suits. I wanted his glove right, the little belt, the hoses. And you know, in the original sketch, the heart or the fighter wasn't in the background. So
keep
I
talking.
love this.
I'm gonna
and I hope that you know, we have a ComicCon next year where we're actually in person, because I would love to paint this, and I'd love to paint the Black Panther. That's ones that I would love to do, but I want them to be seen in person. So that's the would love to do these guys, and then just but I want them to be seen in person. The last Star Wars piece, I was just looking through as I was sitting. I was left alone in my home, and I was like, oh, let's look through some things and Star Wars ideas, and looking, and then this Ewok popped up. And again, I was like, why has this not ever crossed my mind? And so there's Darwin Moore.
Right?
Adorable.
I mean, come on. How much sense does that make? All the sense.
Yeah. So I was like, why have not, it just never, ever came across my mind. And as soon as I did it, I showed my wife, and she was like, oh my God, that's so cute. I was like, yeah. So this is one probably will get painted too, because I can just see, you know, the little wispy hairs coming out from behind the, you know, the little leather mask. It's just, it's so cool.
All right. So speaking of which,
Yeah.
in the sketches. All right. So your wife obviously gets to see all this stuff.
Mhm.
And, you know, I'll do some stuff. And my wife's a huge Baby Yoda fan. We have a whole shrine, which is I encourage, because I'm like, did you see this came out? And now I bought one for me also.
Marcus has that.
Well, come on, right? And
Our
so
son has that.
as he should, and believe me, it goes on and on. But so, you know, I encourage the Baby Yoda habit. And so I'll do a sketch of something, and she'll be like, I'll do like an art drop. And she'll be like, you're not putting in an art drop, are you? And I'm like, look, man, I can draw it for you again. Okay. So is there stuff where Nicole sees and be like, that stays at the house?
Well, here's the thing. So I will do a piece of art, and I think, oh my God, this is cool. This is amazing. And they'll walk in here and look at it and be like, oh, and then they just leave. And I'm like, what the, you know? But then sometimes they come in here and they will stop right dead in their tracks and be like, oh. And I know that right there, when my wife and my daughter come into the studio and go, oh, that's it. It's going to print. That's it. End of story. That's it. Because you know, it's, I get their feedback on a lot of things. I'll come in the studio and print something, and I know it's a keeper because I will finish it. I scan it. I run like an 8x10 of it, and I go into the office and I'm like, this is what I did, blah, blah, blah. And she'd be like, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. And then she literally takes the proof. It hasn't been edited, hasn't color correction, nothing. It's just raw as raw can be. And she takes them and then puts them in her office, pins them up, folds them, and sticks them in. No, you don't fold them. No fold. I'm sorry. She looked at me like, come on. She puts them in a drawer, keeps them. She has every pin I've ever made. Like every freebie that you guys have, Nicole has them all. Every single one of them. The first one that comes off the printer, I'm like, you think this is cool? And she's like, oh yeah. So she sometimes helps me in the right direction. I knew that, like the Tasmanian Devil one, they left me, and I started doing that. And then when she came through the door, I was like, what do you think? She's like, whoa. Oh yeah, that's a good one. And I knew, I was like, okay, cool. And these guys are going to be happy with it. So
you, and it's great to get feedback like that, because it's kind of, you know, you're producing all the time. Now you got one of Vision also. Do you have that one?
Yes, I do. I have I did. I went with the classic, man. You know, again, this might be one that gets painted next year because I've already done. I did. What was the last one I did? Doctor Strange a couple of years ago. And this guy definitely the yellow and the green with the red face is just that needs to be done.
It needs to be done.
It needs to be done for next year. And these are like what you were saying before. Sometimes you look at something and you have to struggle to get it to work. I started doing this and it instantly, like I was like, I want to do a vision. So I started looking through the classic and I was, of course, then you go down that rabbit hole where you're looking at all these old comics. And I was like, that's it. And I literally drew it once and sketched it out and colored it. That was it. That's just, it's one of those where I didn't have to struggle and thinking of how this was going to fit or that was going to fit. Like I said to you, he doesn't have a neck. So sometimes, the outfits don't work that well when you're necklace. So
all right.
But yeah.
So begs the question too. Like, first of all, I see an entire line of Avengers done like this because I'm just letting you know, I think it could happen. And you go ahead and run with it and do your little thing. Maybe it's some 2 a.m. in the morning thing and you're like, that moron had to mention Avengers and now I got to sketch this thing because it's in my head. And I'll be like, it's okay. So
he said Avengers.
So just saying, wait a second. You've already done it. Shut up.
I've done all of them. And one of my closest and dearest friends here in Orlando turned 50 2 years ago. And as a gift to him, he has a 15 by 22 piece of paper and it has all of them on there.
No.
Yes.
Tell me you scanned it and can be
reprinted. I have not. It is was it scanned? I don't think it was. But I know where he lives. So
be like, look, man, I just need to borrow it for a day and then you can have it back.
Yeah, it is really, it's one of a kind, obviously, and they're all in there. From the Hulk, Iron Man, you name it, they're all in there.
If ever at some point you're over there and you just happen to take a snap and text it to me, I'm
yes.
okay.
I will get him to take a picture after the show is over and I'll send it to you.
Yes, thank you. All right, so do you have, is there a Captain Chaos pen and ink that you have?
Oh, yes.
A little birdie might have told me.
So, growing up, I adored Dom DeLuise. But most of all, I adored the movie Cannonball Run.
Yes.
Because it had Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise. It also had Sinatra, Dean, and Davis. And I can't remember, but it was a friend or someone had posted as I was scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, and I just happened to see a picture of Dom DeLuise with the cape, and he's looking like this. And I thought, oh my God, I knew instantly like Captain Chaos. So
yes.
He had to be done. That is, and no one better than Bunny Boo's Hound to fill the shoes.
Yes. Now,
so,
is that available?
Yeah.
It is.
I
maybe
loved it. Love it.
Like, no, it's sold already. I don't know. I loved what you do. So there's something, and I think as we've discussed previously in some point, I love the paintings. I love paintings, right? And when it came to animation, like it was great to see the cells and the backgrounds and stuff. But what I really love are the sketches. Like the drawings of it are what I really attach to, because I think you can see a little bit more energy and stuff in that. So every time you post these drawings of stuff, and I stalk your Instagram account, okay? I watch all the stories, and I'm not apologizing for it either. And so I watch the stuff, and I'll eat, because you'll get a text and I'll be like, shut up, and something on the front, and I just, man, you got away with it that just I love. And so like every time you sketches, I'm like, oh God.
Well, it's, on the ride up here, just before we left, I watched a really cool video with musician or rapper Pitbull. And he said, you know, you create better, you live a better life if you're happy and you enjoy the things that you do. And sometimes, you know, there are people that get caught up in the mix of money or success, and you kind of lose that focus. But when I do these pieces, you know, to me, that's fun. This is fun to me. I enjoy sitting there. I enjoy doodling. I enjoy, you know, like that Captain Chaos. That is for me. Oh, and then Greg, I saw posted a Chuck quote about creating the characters not for anybody but for himself. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly it. And I love them. And I create them for me because they make me laugh. And I only hope that at the end, you know, it makes the people who buy them or the people who look at them laugh as well. So I think it's a combination really of what Chuck said and what Pitbull, as weird mix as that is, where, you know, that's really Pitbull and Chuck Jones kind of weird.
What's up?
But
Doc?
But at the end, it really makes sense because I'm creating these characters because I enjoy them. You know, I don't like creating things because someone is making me do it. I don't enjoy that. I think that takes away from the fun of it all. And I'm fortunate that, you know, that's not the case. So, but I enjoy those, and you have to do things that you enjoy. And these things, like these guys, I laugh my
I saw that when you texted it, and I'm like, take my money, take it.
I created this, and I was laughing the entire time because I was like, seriously, they all fit so well in there, you know? It's crazy.
So speaking of that, right? Because you had texted me all those, and I think my response back was, I'd be shocked if they're still there by the time the show starts. Yeah, I was right. I mean, not that means anything, but so like all this stuff that you post, I'm like, oh, that's so good. And I was showing my daughter because I had like the stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna interview Fabio tonight. I'm like, it's kind of, we have a thing now. So because the painting came in and whatnot, I'm like, we have a thing. It's like a thing.
That's how rumors get started.
Yes, that's fine. I'm like, I don't know how they get started. So that's delicious. So, you know, when we got into you showing the stuff, you had the pieces, specifically even the paintings that you did. And I know Scott Ryder's got on cue here, Kids Are Scary. And again, it's where I love the sketches that you do. So you have this and a painting, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a limited. So you have an original, maybe that's sold already. And but this the original and the limited. Now, which one came first, the sketch or the painting?
The concept was this is the concept. Right. And so yeah, and this one's big. This is the typical pen and ink. So this one's literally it's twice. It looks small because it's kind of curved a little bit. But let's do this instead. Cool. So there it is. Yeah. So this was the original concept to it, where it's a wooded area, and Mr. Pickles, where is he? There, Mr. Pickles is in the back. So it gives you the impression that they're not really scared of Dragon Boy. They're more scared of Mr. Pickles, who is just like, hey, you know?
Yes.
And so that was where the concept came. But when I started putting it together, I don't know, man. Nikki was there, and I was like, I feel like I need to have a Scooby-Doo background. The other one is my background. And I felt that like it wasn't going to be authentic to the Scooby-Doo if I had done me as my background, so the trees and the little rolling hills. So I tried to do, the traditional Scooby-Doo with the scary mountain in the background and the moon. And
is that the original? Is that the
So
original?
shiny.
Is that the original?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and then there's, if I can get, there he goes. Oh, there he is. So, that's weird. The eyes do that. But it's so glossy. It's hard to get it. Oh, there it is.
There we go. Nice.
So, yeah. So I went with, I I was looking up, I think it was Scooby-Doo. I think I Googled Scooby-Doo backdrops, and a bunch came up, and I wanted to go with a night scene. So moon and the blue, and it's it just worked out. And opposed to the traditional greens that I use, I went with like I can't remember what it's called, like a moon green or something like that in the background. So it's not your typical color. So then, Dragon Boy pops out of the piece.
Wait, is that sketch for sale too or no?
Yeah.
Is it sold already? Scott's gonna be like, yeah, it's sold. Oh, it's
yeah. And Mr. Pickles only appears in a few pieces here and there. And funny enough, my daughter, who loves gas station pickles, and I don't know if you've ever had one.
Talking about the one in the bags. We have to open the bag.
Yes.
Oh no.
Dude, they're the most disgusting things on the planet. And that kid comes home and cuts it open on the counter, doesn't even use a cut board or anything. So there is pickle juice everywhere. And they're just disgusting. They just smell like they're marinating in gasoline.
Oh.
She eats them.
No.
Yeah.
Things you
She
don't
does that.
buy at a gas station. A, pickle. B, sushi. You just don't do it. Or a ham sandwich. Don't get that in the bag.
No, she's probably eating that too.
I'm not gonna
She would. Yeah. She got a gut like a billy goat, that kid. She'll eat anything. She does not care.
That's okay. It's a strong constitution.
So, yes, I mean, I enjoyed this. I think I was up to like 2 or 3 in the morning. Just because the pants, I didn't bring, like I was looking, I brought my little book with the colors that I needed. And then I was like, I'm not painting his pants purple. I'm not painting his, and I'm like, I'm going to do this like vintage, I don't know what that is, rust colored pants. And so I went with that, and Scooby looks good. Yeah, I enjoyed making that piece, and I wanted to, that's probably one of the most iconic images of Scooby-Doo, where either Scooby is in his arms or vice versa, So that's what I wanted to do, but I just thought it'd be funny to just have, kids are scary, and then just have Dragon Boy there, where he's adorable little kid, but he's scaring them.
So, and I think we've got APs, maybe 1 or 2 left, or none left. 1. Yeah, hardly any. So, and then you've got the sign limited of those also. Now, I wanted the other part that I wanted to get into in the new pieces was and I'm looking over to my left because that's where I've got your stuff up, is the one well done love bomb. I loved the whole, I like what you did with Witch Hazel serving, and then Bugs, and I thought that was brilliant. And this kind of to me carries that tradition of, I don't know, it cracks me up, like something's going to happen to the antagonist. So can we pull that up, Scott?
Yeah.
So this piece on screen.
Yeah. So this man, there's so many great scenes. So many great scenes where it was between this one and I'm trying to think of the name, where Marcinivo or Bugs Bunny was marrying Taz and his girlfriend or whatever. And as I kept scrolling through, I found this one, and I ended up watching the little version of it on the little cartoon on YouTube, and I was like, oh my God, I remember this. And he was so excited, and it was a little like a little stick of dynamite. Yes. It's like a little stick of dynamite. The best part is it's a stick of dynamite on the plate, but when he puts it in front of him, it has the little legs and the little cups at the end. And I think that's where I love that about even with like SpongeBob or some cartoons today where your imagination is constantly going, you know, and that's what I love about those old classic cartoons. You could change something in a second. And you, as a kid, then go, hey, wait a minute. When did that stick of dynamite grow legs?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and you just went with it because you understood the humor behind it. And I think that's where this is. And a well done love bomb is, I just thought it was funny. I mean, it sounds better than medium rare love bomb. So.
Yes, which I'm more, if I'm going to go for steak, I'm more medium well, you know, than I am medium rare, which drives my buddies nuts because they're like, that's not how you eat a steak. I'm like, I'll tell you how I eat a steak, okay? I don't want it moving. I don't want it to whatever. Give it to me well, medium well. So when you got into these pieces, like the new stuff, you were kind of like pumping through, and the sketches did you have like moments where do you have like a list of things and you're like, all right, this is what I can get to right now, and then here is and it just idea jamming out where you like got to take a minute, write something down, and then get back to work on what you originally going. How did you narrow it down to these two?
Yeah, how I narrowed it down was Scott had said, and this is the I think the cool relationship that I have with Chuck Jones. I pretty much I always wait for Scott because I want it always to be successful, and they know what character's trending or what the anniversary of like Tom and Jerry was. They know when things have a high point, and I could say, this year I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and maybe it isn't that time or the right time. So I appreciate that. Scott reaches out and says, hey, you know what? This piece is trending, or we have the IP to Scooby, and we would love to see the Tasmanian Devil. And then instantly I'm like, oh, awesome. So then I go on a hunt, or I think of an image in my mind that I'm like, okay, I know what I want to do. So then I start writing down ideas. Do I want Taz doing this, or do I want Taz doing that, or do I want him, spinning so it's circles and only his face? And I'm like, I can't do that, and sometimes I have all the great ideas written on a piece of paper, and you come across the magical image, which is him in that little Italian style table, the cloth. And I'm like, that's it. There it is. Marcel in a chef's hat and an apron serving him out. I was like, that's it. That's the one I'm going to do. And the background too, I don't do solid colors like that. I typically don't do the leaves solid. I don't do, the backdrop darker. I don't typically do the little flowers other than white. And for me to go do these colors, or the grass blades are a turquoise. They're turquoise green. And that's where the influence of what the artist for, Warner Brothers or Chuck or whoever, came up with that. I'm thinking like, that was brilliant to have, that turquoise. So then, of course, I start going through the colors that I brought with me. And yes, I brought turquoise. So they fit in well. The one thing I did change that I thought, it's these are the trees. I think of palm trees, but I went with what my trees are. So that's what I put in there instead. And throwing the bold, the yellow here to balance it out with these two here. And this same green that you see here is the same green that's.
Nobody saw that. Nobody saw it.
Thank God for the lip. And it's the same green that's here.
Nice.
Same green. So we're going to do this instead. We're just going to put them right here. We're going to do it.
Just in case.
Woo! Thank God for the lip. There we go. We're good. We're good.
All right, so you've got the Scooby concept is available. So while the Scooby painting sold, and kudos to Steve who got that one, the Scooby concept is available. So when you're going through, like I know, like we've talked about this stuff where your inspiration comes from, how the whole thing with Marcel developed and all that kind of good stuff. Did you, and this is what I love about it, because again, your characters are so versatile in what you can kind of put into it. Is there a piece that you want to do? I asked Daniel this last night. Is there something that you want to do just for you? Like, you're like, man, if I ever get around to it, I'm going to do this. And maybe your wife's like, I can tell you exactly which one that should be.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I'm gonna ask her. She's looking at me like, I don't think I've ever. The pieces that I enjoy doing the most, because they're challenging to me, is anytime I do a rendition of a Norman Rockwell piece. And now I see her from the corner of my eye shaking her head, because I feel that when I try to put Marcinevo in a Norman Rockwell piece and paint it like that, I think I get the best that I can do. And she's like, yes. So, I've done Dear Baby Cakes, which was a Norman Rockwell piece, and what's the other one called? Bedside Manner, where Marcinevo is taking care of a little dog. And there's a piece that I have done recently where it's called Fishing, but I called it The Spot, where it's this gentleman sitting on a little boat, and he has a bunch of fishing lines out, and all the fishing lines have bells off of them. And in the boat, there's this little beagle, which that was my wife's first dog. So I loved it automatically. And off the boat, there's a jug of booze floating in the water that's attached to the boat. So at some point, I will paint that piece, just because I'm intrigued with how Norman Rockwell painted. He didn't feel that the entire canvas needed to be filled with paint. You have your subject, and if you can capture everything in that subject right here, there's no need to fill this. And I think that's the part where I'm intrigued by that. You have the little girl who punched the little boy in the face, and she's waiting outside of the principal's office. The focus is on her. You have the lunch counter where the cute little black girl's at the end. That's the focal point. Everything else after that just sort of blends into the piece. Soldiers coming home from the war, it's just them. But I think that type of art, it evokes an emotion. That's why I love putting Marcinevo in those pieces.
So that actually segues into something I don't think I've asked you before in the stuff that we've done. And I took my kids down to, I took my little two, my 5 and my 3-year-old, down to the Monet exhibit because they had Monet at the Art Institute, and it was glorious. It shut in I was going to take all my kids for Thanksgiving break, and then they closed all the museums again. And so when they popped it back up, they let it run till June, and I went in there, and I'm a huge Monet fan. And I wasn't that way in high school because I was like, cartoons and animation and comic books. That's it. And so I didn't really have an appreciation for classics, right? And I consider Monet a classic, not in a Michelangelo type of way, centuries ago, but just in something that is really rich in art history and how he painted all that stuff. To go there and see the paintings again, which influenced me heavy in high school later on, and then that's when my appreciation came from it. To see it there in person and just to stare at how he did stuff was, and thankfully my little two were fine. And I remember, while I was waiting to get into the show, I like John Singer Sargent. And there's an influence there in some of the way he paints things. And there's this one piece, and I for the life of me, I was trying to look it up because it's in the Art Institute. I don't remember exactly what it was. It's Circus something. And it's, he does these portraits and whatnot that are very realistic. And then he has a little bit looser stuff. And this circus thing was super loose. And I remember just staring at it for 20 minutes. I'm like, man, I want to let loose like that. So is there, when and his work, Sargent's work, there's some stuff, but it impacted me more just 6 months ago than it ever has before. So is there something, you brought up Norman Rockwell, in other artists that you really feel inspired by as you look for, and you're like, I love this. How did they do that? Where are your you know, inspirations from, you know, artists like that? Where are they coming from? You have Norman Rockwell. What's another one?
Oh man, there's outside of the art, I enjoy the person. And that equally intrigues me just as much. Prime example, you know, you have Picasso, and he painted one specific style, and started with another, then continued the pen and inks, the plates, the pottery, but how he lived his life. That, you know, he had a ton of money, but he lived very simple. My phone, I don't know where that is, but on my phone, when you click it, it's Picasso in his whitey tidies with a dog. That is what's on my phone. And I just love that, that's how he lived life. Jackson Pollock, hardcore alcoholic, anger issues, womanizer. And when you look at the artwork, you're like, oh my God, how did he come up with this? He was an alcoholic. He was angry all the time, you know, womanizer. He never paid his debts. He would trade his originals for a 6-pack of beer. When you understand the individual, then I think you can understand where the art comes from. And like you said about Monet, my wife loves Monet. And we went to MoMA? And we came around the corner, and there it is. It's 30 feet wide. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. 3 panels. They were huge. And we were just in awe because we're standing 20 plus feet away, and it looks phenomenal. And then we saw a Jackson Pollock piece, which I got so close, this giant man came over and said I needed to get away from it. So I need to step back because, you know, you hear the rumors of the hair and this and the dirt and the, you know, he would throw coins into it and whatever. And then I'm sitting here looking at the artwork, and I'm like, oh my God, pink and brown. Oh my God, you know, pink and this ugly burgundy color. And I'm like, who thinks of those things? So it's this gigantic piece that's 10 feet high, 30 feet wide. But I picked this one specific inch in the piece, and I was like, I'm going to remember that color combination because I'm going to do it when I go home. Now, I didn't drip the colors, you know what I mean? But what I did is I blended those colors together to create something. The drip effect in a lot of my pieces comes from being inspired by Jackson Pollock. And when I do them, I don't do them just like, I crank my favorite music. Sometimes I have a glass of wine. I do something that gets me so I feel loose. So I'm not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Programmed into just, you know what I mean? I want it to just flow. I want it to get paint over here, paint over there. And I want it to feel that way. So that's where the art to me, I like to know the individual and then look at the art, love the art. But if the individual had a lifestyle that explains why he created the art he did, that's even more intriguing to me.
Yeah, I got to say, you know, when it's getting to know the artist, because I've looked at stuff, and I remember it was Harrison Ellenshaw. Which one was the son? Which one was that? Harrison Ellenshaw, and was he the son? I think so. Background painting, Disney, stuff like that. No?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. So
yeah.
Peter is the son. All right, thank you, Carol. Peter Ellenshaw. So, way to go, Carol, with the save. So Peter is the dad. All right, Scott's telling me Peter's that. Whatever. One of them is the son. And so I remember going to his house, and I had seen some of his stuff, and it was interesting, you know, and you know, I knew the history of, you know, like what him and his dad were with Star Wars, and matte paintings. And I remember like not totally getting the art, you know. And then I went to his house, and we had an event thing, and we went to his house, and I was chatting with him, and I saw some stuff up person. I got to know more about him as a person. And man, I don't know what, to your point, I don't know what it is about that, but getting the opportunity to not just see an image, but to get to know the person behind it, has that image make way more sense. And I grabbed one, and I'm like, oh, that I have to have that. because all of a sudden this thing that I didn't understand, and I was kind of looking at it like, nah, I don't know. And then I get to talking to him, and he wasn't trying to sell me anything. I was just getting to know him as a human being and what was behind the art. And I'm like, it is a light switch went off, and I'm like, I totally freaking get it. Give me that one, please. You know, so it's just I think it's important that you say that it's not just the artist and just seeing the paintings, but really getting to know the person behind it, because the motivations to create, which is a great segue for you, because this is what a 20-minute intro last year to a 2-hour interview, and getting to know a couple things, and then as it unfolded, everything that you pack into your pieces and all that, you know, meaning that goes with it, and then your life experiences and how this impacted that and all that kind of stuff, that had an impact on me. And so, you know, I purchased my first piece of yours right after that show, and I'm like, I gotta, and I'm like, because there was stuff that one, right? And I went through, and I'm like, I heard the story behind the piece. I'm like, I have that. Yeah, that's yes. I knew exactly what that is. I'm like, I have to have that piece. And then I should have bought that freaking Black Panther sketch. I'm just telling you right now, that was the biggest idiot move of me, was not to during the show be like, Robert, the Black Panther piece, please. I know I'm saying this live, but the Black Panther, please. I'm buying it. So I kind of screwed myself on that. But there was points in there, and as you would explain those things and how it came out, I had a greater appreciation of what your work was, and then it just kept unlocking doors, and I'm like, oh, you know, and it was just getting to know you. So in that, in what you've created, and like to go back even a little bit, let's go back in history a year. There's Scott, go ahead and pull these up, please. You're running the scroller right now. So you've done some killer pieces. And as I got to know more about Dragon Boy, and, you know, how you were doing that with Marcineva and those things, like, dude, again, you see the link at the bottom, chuckjonescatalog.com, Don Morrison told me Norwine told me I did it wrong last night, /Fabio/CDCC/2021, or hyphens. We're in hyphens. I haven't drinking that much of the margarita. It's not kicking in yet. But these pieces, you can just go to chuckjonescatalog.com. It's at the top. And I love how you pull these together. There's a Marvin piece, and it's not, I love Duck Dodgers. It's a thing. I love the fact that you put Mars Nevo as connect. That one, this, Robert, I'm buying this. I'm just telling you right now, Robert, I'm buying this. Please charge this to my account. I'm like, I made a mistake last time and I didn't do that. So I would like that, please. And then I love this piece too. This was, you know, the kind of what I was referring to your Taz piece, and the kind of the dangerous positions that Mars Nevo can put himself in, you know, and the fact that he comes out with it. So I love this piece as well. So I know, Scott, it's only in the small size, and I understand. Yes, I want that one. Yes, I know what the price is. Yes.
Small size.
I read the details. I'm yes, I get it. That one's mine. So as you're moving forward with these characters and you're unlocking more things, right? First of all, Mike Bartolomeo. Oh wait, I want to just let you know that you already know that people love you and you have a ton of fans. Darnell loves the Taz piece, thinks it's fabulous, and they love your Norman. Stephen has been to the Norman Rockwell Museum and loves it. Fantastic experience. Have you been to the Norman Rockwell Museum?
I have not, but I do have. A couple of years ago, Nicole was like, I need to stop at a bookstore. We were in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And she's like, I need to go to a bookstore. I need to look at some old books or something. She was trying to look for something. I said, cool. I'm hoping I find an art book. I want to find a Norman Rockwell art book, and I'm going to find one. So we walked in, and you know, there's a distinct smell to bookstores. And this was an antique bookstore. She walks in. I take 2 steps in. I look to my right, and there's a book this thick, this big, that tall, Norman Rockwell, everything he ever done, you know, for the cover of magazines, and I was like, awesome. So I sat there, I flipped it open. This thing weighs 10 pounds. It is so heavy. I was like, I'm done shopping. So I went over, I found her. She's like, of course you're done shopping. I'm not done shopping. So then I went, got a coffee, and I sat there, and through the book, but I love it. I've never seen any of them. I don't think we've seen any of them in person, right? No Rockwell's now. But I do have this book, and it is amazing. I love it.
So I did the same thing where, you know, even in modern influences, where I go through, I have a library, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. When I move next year, it's going to be the heaviest thing going into the pot is all the friggin' books. Like I've stopped. It's because Amazon, you know what happens when Amazon loves me also, because I'll go in and be like, hey, Ben, we know you like that. Would you like this? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, click, click, and buy. I'm like, do I have some rewards points? No, I don't care. I'm going to hit the purchase button. Right?
My wife.
Yes. Does she do the same thing?
Oh, yes. Nicole, we found this for you. Okay.
Oh, dude.
I'm like, why is there 7 Amazon boxes outside? I don't know.
Yes. And then you're like, and then it's like surprise. And you're like, yes. So I do the same thing. So to Nicole, I totally get you, man. And yes, simpatico on that. Because it just happened. So I ended up buying the Jim Lee X-Men covers or X-Men features. And it's the full size. Right. And what I love about different people, because I love Chuck's inking style, right? And I've always been, I have a couple of Chuck originals that have ink that he's inked. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, I can stare at that stuff because the way he does it with that, just the ink and the brush, man, there's something fascinating. So like the Jim Lee stuff, I'm totally digesting his pencils and his inks. But is there, when you're kind of modern ways, right? So current artist, someone that you're like, man, like for me, it's Nick Klein, who does Marvel right now. He's on the Thor series. I'm not sure if he's done with it. And it's this watercolor-esque, you know, type of artwork that he's doing to these comic pages. I also love Alex Ross, like the gouache father, as I call him, because he is the godfather, but he uses gouache, hence the gouache father. Thank you very much. So any modern influence that you're like, that, like, I'm just stunned. I got to keep staring.
There is one artist that I continuously follow, and 2 actually that Greg Simpkins in California and James Jean.
Yes.
Those are 2 guys that I watch, and I think to myself, like, and I also know that they're not in many galleries. Their prints are relatively inexpensive. They do very small editions, but their originals sell for a lot of money because they only do so many a year, and they're giant. They're not 11 by, but to do a piece that's 3 feet by 4 feet and with a detail that both of those gentlemen add to them, you're talking months of time. And I can't take months of time to paint one original, because then everybody would be upset. They'd be like, you have 17 shows to do. Are we supposed to share this one original? So it doesn't work.
Yes.
But what I do take from them is their attention to detail. And that is where, if you compared what I did 13 years ago to what I do today, it's a totally different thing. And I just look like, I think James Jean is oil, but I think Greg Simpkins or Crayola does acrylics, which is what captures me because I paint with acrylics. So I like watching his little techniques, and I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. You know, that will make it a little easier. And so I watch how they paint. Their subject matters are something unique, never would apply to me, because they have their own style, completely different from each other. But it's their technique that they use to create those pieces that fascinate me.
Yeah, I love Crayola. I follow him, and
it's stuff's amazing. And you sit there, you see this little octopus, and you're like, oh, that's amazing. That's great detail. And then you see a picture of him painting one suction cup, and it's this big. And you're like, hold, how big is that original? It's massive. Or the leaf of an apple, it's literally like this gigantic leaf, and there's no way those guys are completing those pieces in a couple of weeks unless they don't sleep.
No, so hey, so here's a question from Amber. I did not prompt this. She asked, so I'm going to ask you. Will Ben and Fabio ever collab to do a piece together? I didn't ask. She asked on her own. I had.
I'm going to throw this out there. I think it would be funny if you did the what you do, and then I do what I do, and then we just put it together. We'll see if Scott does something. Like, for instance, if you were like, you've done Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, you've done Marvin, you've done them all. So if you were to do that, and then I was to impose Marcinivo and a couple of hearts and some bluebirds, a collaboration, that's a possibility. So it's it's up to Scott. Listen, I'm not a guy whose ego is like huge. You want to work with me, I'll work with you. I'm cool with that. I'm down with it.
So
yeah.
I just peed a little.
Are you a French bulldog?
Yes. I got a little excited, and then so yeah.
And then
yeah, just and yeah, that was, Amber, I'm gonna take a minute to digest what just happened, because I was like, hey, yeah, whatever, collab piece.
No.
So yeah, I have an idea.
All right.
Not sure what it is right now, but I'm just gonna throw a little something later on.
Yep.
And Scott was like, hey, that'd be fun. Or if he was like, Ben, you're Ben. And then he said, that's Fabio. So Ben, we love you, but let's just drinking a margarita and asking guys questions. Then I'll do that. I don't have. I'm okay with that.
Dude, I a couple years and years ago, I won't mention the person's name. Super, super, super popular artist. I had done a piece. They had done something with Marcinivo, and I had done something back. And I thought it was a stellar concept. And I thought we should do this together. So I believe he was the first one to say during the show, yeah, I'd love to do something with him. And I said, somebody reached out and was like, how do you work the percentages? I was like, you can take mine and donate to charity. Well, someone didn't like that answer. So they're like, oh, no, well, we can't do that. Well, we have to, he's more popular than you are, and blah, blah, blah. And that's where egos come in to the mix. And then two people that could have created something really, really cool didn't. So I'm not that kind of person. If you want to do something, I'm up for it. Just do something. I do something, goes back to you. You add to it, comes back to me. I add to it. At the end of it, Chuck Jones gets a hold of it, and then we'll see what happens from that point.
So I don't have enough hair left to have an ego, because it just keeps disappearing. So at any point, all I have to do is have a picture taken of me from the backside of my head, and I'm like, oh, it's all going. So yeah, there is no ego there. And yeah, I will. Yes. So great question, Amber. Way to spark that, and we'll see what happens.
She's a troublemaker. Oh yeah, it's Amber Price.
Amber Price. Yes.
She knows, dude. She is every artist needs an Amber Price. That's all I'm gonna say. She is like she's a national treasure when it comes to me and my my fan page and posting things. She has found pieces of art that I forgot I created. I'm like, who made that? Like, did I do that? Yeah, you did in 2007. How do you know that? Like, where did you find that? But everybody needs an Amber Price.
So Amber, there you go. Apparently, we're gonna hire you all the way around, and there's a whole bunch of us that need a you. So. And Stephen, answer your question. Are there depends under the costume? There are not. So
No.
It will be a running to the bathroom after I'm done here. As we get into, first of all, dude, this is I'm very much looking forward to the in-person thing. I'm down to like 9 months before the house goes up for sale. So and geeking out at the fact that I've got a whole lot of buddies down there, and you're like top of the list on just getting together in person and be like, hey, I know we've done this digital thing a lot, but good to meet you. You've done so many things and have like sparked so many paths on stuff. And what I think is important to know, for people to know, in addition to you being an extremely talented artist, is the other side to this. And obviously you've got your, better half that helps make sure that you do stay on task, but like that whole entrepreneurial aspect of things. And that's why I brought up I wanted to bring up the book in the beginning and the other stuff that you're doing, even the sculptures of the love bombs and the F bombs and all that kind of stuff, is you're constantly innovating and pushing things, to be like, that's interesting. All right, opportunity. I see that. Okay. Is there an opportunity that and you don't have to say like what it is necessarily, but are things on the horizon that you're like, you had mentioned animation, and I think your characters are just, I think they're built for animation as well, right? It just makes sense. But is there something else in there that you're like, man, like there's this thing I was thinking about, and if I can get around to it, we would go off in X direction?
Yeah, the animation part is really, really cool. But at the end of the day, that's not me creating. I'm not the one who's going to be actually animating them. They're going to be taking Marcinivo or any of the characters and putting them into animation. That's not me. In the sense of me putting my hands into something, I have wanted to work with, I have this thing, like I used to do, 10, 15 years ago, I worked with polymer clay, and I love creating goofy little characters. And I probably made about 100 of them. And I used to call them the heart club kids, or the broken heart clubs kids. And they were all goofy. They were never the same. Every single one of them was completely different. I enjoyed that. I only did them about 4 or 5 inches tall, but I would love to get to the point where I paint like sculptures, and I do those in either resin. I have a 3-foot Dragon Boy in my living room that eventually I will paint. I'm not going to sell him, but that's my goal to have done possibly by a year from now, where I bring him either to my gallery in California or he travels with me. And I want to be able to get to that point where I have a statue made and then I hand paint it. Not somebody else do it, not somebody who I'm like, no, that's not the right green, or that's not the right this. I want somebody to create something I've done and then I paint it. It's me. It's something that I've done. I want to get into the same thing that like Kid Robot has, that one universal sculpture that everybody paints. I want to create something like that where my collectors can get a do-it-yourself sculpture that I've created, because I get a kick out of watching other people do something with them. Because not only is that good for everybody, creativity is good, but at the end of it, it's really neat to see somebody else's perspective on something. And then that fuels, just because one person creates something, that one person could inspire 10 other people to create something off that one thing. So I think that's where I want to create something similar to where there's a universal sculpture, whether it be Dragon Boy or Mr. Pickles, or where people buy him and he's just white and they paint him any way they want to.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
We grew up, I did the money, the MUNNY, whatever.
Yeah, I have them. Yeah.
Right. And like doing all kinds of stuff. I've done the little, Mickey things and whatnot, and those have been cool. I would love, and again, that's why I think your character design lends itself to stuff like that, because it's pretty versatile.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that stuff. Yes to sculpture painting, and yes to do-it-yourself things. I will order one, just like I pre-ordered your book. So, do you like the plug? Michael Harker, and we love Michael, wants to know if we can see the Marvin pen and ink.
Oh yeah. All right. So, I think we were driving on the way to Maine when Scott had sent an email that said, you can say no, but, you know, Mike Dicken had an idea of Marcinivo and Marvin racing each other on tricycles. And when I got to Maine and I started drawing them, and I'm like, I don't think tricycles, I like the little rocket scooter that Bugs Bunny is in. I can't remember what episode, and I thought it'd be kind of neat if they were racing each other. And so this is where.
Oh, I love that.
Winner rules the universe.
Is that sold already? It's probably sold. Who am I kidding?
So there's that. And I like how Marcinivo is leaning back as he's trying to go faster, I guess.
Yes.
And then Marvin is just like, I got this. So I just thought it was funny with K9 sitting there, like waiting to drop the hand, whoever crosses it first. It's a funny pick. Yeah, but this is inspired really by Mike Dicken, who threw that idea out, and I was like, I can do that, and why not do it on the moon? If you look really close, you can see Jeff Bezos in the background. Just kidding.
Are we talking about in the Dr. Evil phallic?
Yeah. I showed that meme to my daughter today. She thought it was the best thing. So it was the best thing ever.
Dude, we were now, and I'll say this about the whole space travel thing, right? For one, like Branson, I watched his rocket go up live. I watched Bezos. I think it's great. They're spending their own money. They're putting people up there, right? It takes that kind of innovation. So I'm all for it, right? I say that to say, when Bezos had his rocket there, we're watching in the morning because it was a morning launch. And I turned to my wife and I'm like, that totally looks like a, and she's like, what? I'm like, yes. And I'm like, and I guess if you gotta, it's kind of like that. Oh, well, maybe he's compensating for something, maybe, but he's about to blast off into space. So, and then somebody put that meme up with Dr. Evil, and I'm like, that is brilliant. And I could not stop laughing.
Yeah, I showed my daughter. First of all, I only showed her the Dr. Evil, and she's like, oh my God, what movie is that? And I was like, Austin Powers, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that is funny. And then I moved my hand, and she was like, that's my favorite. That's my favorite meme.
It is.
I was like, so that's my favorite. She goes, that's not real. That's not what the rocket looked like. I'm like, that's exactly what it looked like.
Oh, all right. So, yeah, it is. It's exactly, and it's so dead on. I'm like, that's yes. I'm like, did he know that? I don't know. So I want to give a shout out to Alexis, who's watching on YouTube. She loves the Captain America costume. Thank you very much. And it's totally legit. It's a 3XL, and I had it made because apparently I'm that big in Asia. But and it's very warm. Very warm. So, and I did this for Fabio. Because he wanted to know how many suits I had, and I'm like, I got to wear one at least. So what I wanted to touch on here too is we've had Scott Ryder scrolling some printers proofs that you've got, some rare printers proofs.
Yeah.
And this goes with the whole like, I need you to okay. Preface this with Mike Bartelmo asking if you're going to do a love bomb. I think it's a love bomb pin.
I have a love bomb pin.
Okay, or an F-bomb pin. Mike, just put it in.
Oh, an F-bomb pin. Yes, that will be done. It will probably be done in the fall sometime. There's the pins that I've done for you guys are for you guys right now, and if the show is over, then they'll go on. Whatever's left over will go on my little store, and there's a couple that I've done for my gallery too. The same thing with those. But in the fall, I will be doing some other pins. There'll be I can't say too much in case someone's watching.
Yeah,
but
there's stuff coming.
Yeah, there'll be more pins coming. It is pretty neat. The pin, how many of those have sold over the last few years? It's mind blowing. Like we did some numbers. I'm like, that many pins have sold. And it's just I enjoy doing it. They're not expensive, and I think that's the whole goal behind them. It's just for you to have at least it's still a little piece of art. All of these have my name on the back of them. So then you have something that's unique, and it's it's fun. And I know some people buy 2 or 3 of them, and then they trade them with people, and that's the the part about this too that I enjoy the most, and the same thing with these.
One more time.
There are people that
more time
will
for
get these
purchasing tonight.
and then they trade them.
Yes. I'm not
They trade them for Star Wars pieces, and you know, there's only so many of these I get done. So if, you know, for instance, tonight, these guys last year, I know they sold over 100 pieces. Yeah. And then I've seen that thing for sale on eBay for over $100.
No
It's
way.
crazy. It's crazy.
So a quick shout out to Carrie, who's loving the chat between us on YouTube.
Cool.
So we got it. Yes, it's you got to give the audience, man, because I love the fact that they're watching, and they gave us 2 hours. They gave us 2 hours of time. And so the last time when they're like an hour ish, and by the 2 hour time, I had way more of this down, and I don't know what you were talking about, but
it's the best. You were like / Ben Olson with an E-O Olson.
And I had like my buddy Steve was holding up a painting, and I'm like, Steve, tell him the website. Steve, tell him where this is at. Yeah, Steve, that's great. So
it was the best. I'm like, I think he forgot his own name.
I did. I'm like, there's a hyphen somewhere in there. Put a hyphen in, whatever. You'll figure it out, Ben. It's easy. So, Greg is asking about, what about a drawn plush?
About a what? Darwin?
I'm sorry. He said drawin. I've not had enough margarita yet. A Darwin plush. Yes.
Like Darwin? I don't know.
What's that?
Anyway, yes. Yeah. So the Darwin plush was actually in the process of being done when COVID hit. So it threw everything for a loop. The Darwin plush will be coming. I'm pretty sure of that. We have seen the prototype, which is absolutely freaking gorgeous and fluffy, and you can style his hair into a mohawk and pull it out the sides, and it's amazing. The one problem we had that I've learned from David, my friend who's producing these, is the consistency in, like, if we were making 1,000 of them, then you could have whatever material it is, but the when you only run a small limited amount of them, that's where the sort of the issue is, because we've liked the specific fur, I guess, and then they've only had so much of it, and to get enough to do 500 of them is a difference. So they will be, it will come, and I think there'll be a lot more things coming as the book gets released with the characters and things like that. It's coming.
So we had this discussion, I don't remember how long ago, but like last week or 2 weeks ago, and I just bought a 3D printer.
Yeah.
Which is so dangerous, because my son's like, Dad, and I'm like, and there is a piece that I want to do, and I'm not saying what it is now, because it is for Chuck House, and it's something in the lines of what I said I was going to do this, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and just never came to fruition, but I've got it now, and I'm going to freaking do it. So is there, are you looking at other capabilities in these things where you're like, try this, so you've got your like figurines. Like, I love the fact that plushes and all the other kind of stuff is there that desire then to make this more of an accessible, I'm not going to say merchandise thing, but like that whole, like where you're branching out into other figurines and stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's always one of my biggest fears when I first started working with David was, if, let's say we did this character and we did so many of them, and Walmart and Target picked them up. My biggest fear was, when Star Wars is really, really hot, and 6 months later, there's a bin that says, buy one, get one free, or there's a clearance.
Right.
That has always been a fear of mine. So when we do something, we do it very small. And if it sells out and I kick myself in the rear for going, oh my God, we could have done 1,000 of them. Okay, so we only did 500. But at the end, they're not sitting somewhere, they're not being discounted. So that's been the whole goal when we do something. We want to do it right the first time. We want to make sure that it's the right manufacturer, stitching is correct. Things aren't going to fall apart. So we go that way. as far as doing other things, when you told me about that 3D printer, I was like, I know a nerdy 22-year-old that would probably love that.
Yeah.
So, and he's going to be living here for the next semester of college. So, you know, the possibilities are endless in that point.
Yeah, dude. I went over and I told my son, I'm like, all right, well, look at this stuff. I'm like, but I got news for you. You're gonna figure out the software. I'm gonna do some stuff, and then you're gonna figure it out too. So we'll do a father-son thing, and let's explore this stuff. And so far, we've printed a dog and a cat as a test, and it worked. All right. Now that you've done the easy stuff that's pre-programmed in, let's get stupid, ridiculous, and go for the absolute the fence hit. We've got an attendee on, and I know we're coming up to the 2-hour mark. So before we get the hook, we have an attendee on Zoom that asks, would you ever do a style like a Pablo Picasso Marcinivo or a different artist style as Marcinivo?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm trying to think. Somebody asked me a question similar to that. About doing like a Breakfast Club. My character's in the Breakfast Club. If I haven't done it, it's because I haven't felt it. The idea is there, and it's just that I either tried sketching it and it didn't look like something that made me happy. And we talked about that earlier. If I did it, could I sell it? Probably. But I don't want to sell something that doesn't make me feel good. If I create something I'm like, hey, that's kick-ass, then I will share it. But I will definitely like the Norman Rockwell stuff. That's not so me, but it's just Norman Rockwell with Marcinivo in it. But it's a different style. Yeah, I'm up for that stuff. I'm up for challenging myself for sure.
So speaking of challenging yourself, do you have a mixed media piece that you're going to unveil?
I do have a mixed media piece, and
yes.
I worked.
So
I worked in this piece today, and I have this piece right now. It's currently just on the paper. It is not on the board. See the board here? This is what it will be on. Like previous mixed media pieces done for Chuck Jones, this will be attached to this board, so it will look like a painting. It will be heavily, heavily, heavily glossed, as the paper just absorbs everything. So I have taken the image of Seriously, and I have basically turned it sort of into another original by adding multiple things to it.
Shut up. Shut up.
So
shut up.
So here,
come on,
there's the little rocket in the background. I have completely changed his eyes here, so he's sort of like, oh my God, what is he doing? And everything on here has been repainted. So the little skirt, I guess, as his helmet has been done again, both of them. There's a glow around the earth, and on the earth, it says, hold on, if you guys can see it, for sale. And then there's a little tiny Keith Haring rocket ship up there. There's a little Keith Haring style rocket ship. Oh, where is it? Right there. And then I'm trying to think what else. There's these little guys here. They all have the little antennas. I took every one of those little petals on his little, I don't know what that is. What is that? A skirt? Is that what that is?
It's a skirt. Yeah. Roman soldier. Yes.
Yes. So I've colored all those there. Gave him an exclamation point. I can't even see myself. An exclamation point on his shirt. Gave him some stripes. I'm trying to think what else is on here. There's more stars up in the sky. The spaceships that made the background a little bit taller. There's more just texture to the mountains, but it's completely.
Okay. Hold on.
I was gonna say I can hold. You see, there's in the drawers under the S. There probably is a Seriously in there.
So
just in comparison.
Is this?
Nope, the bottom, babe.
Scott Dickin, is this already sold? Watch, he's gonna be like, it's sold already. I'm refreshing your page on chuckjonescatalog.com. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this is the original.
Right. Wait. Well, hold on. That's the actual original.
This is not the. This is the print. This is just the. This is before it gets enhanced.
Scott Dickin, is that the one I just bought, or did I buy the smaller one?
No, yeah, you bought this. You bought the 8x10.
Oh, where's that one at?
This is.
Come on.
I know there's gonna be a revisit, Ben. So I already printed it out.
Oh, I love those. I love that word, revisit. I am not drinking all of this for you and sweating it out in a suit, Scott Dickin, for the 6x9 one. He has that one over there. What is going on here? Sweet Lord.
I'm not sweating it in a suit.
I mean, I am not even glistening anymore. I could basically
this is a
water a plant. I could water a plant with how much sweat I've got. Okay. Show me the drawings again. Show the drawings. Nobody needs to see my sweat. Show me the drawings.
So here is Ghostbusters.
No, I got that. No. I want to see the two.
Snoopy?
No, wait. Where did that one come from? He's like Scott Dickens.
Oh, wait.
Think about that to the end. No, where did the?
Oh my God! Yeah. I don't think we've shown this one.
Which one? No.
Roll the D away.
Is that available or does that sell already? What the H, Scott? Hey, I kept it kid friendly. All right. I said what the H. That could mean what the heck. That's awesome. See,
yeah, this was a fun piece. It is fun. It's a fun little piece. Love the Snoopies.
So can I just?
We haven't even talked about this one either, Ben. We're running out of time.
We got time, dude. Come on. This is why we should have had a pre-interview because I didn't. Nobody tells me anything. The Snoopy painting sold. Of course it did. Thanks, Scott. All right, fine. The Snoopy painting sold. So, what about the sketch? Did the sketch sell? I don't know. Are you selling the sketch? Can we sell the sketch? And by we,
which one?
That one. No. Whatever you just held up with the skaters. No. Yes.
Oh, no. This one right here. Yeah, I think they've sold this one.
Dear sweet mercy. Fine. Whatever. All right. Can we get back to the seriously and the seriously revisit? Can I just see that in real big size?
Yeah, real big size.
Look at that. Come on. Can you hold up the other one next to it? Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
Hold up the other one next. So this is the original.
Is that like an 11x17?
This is a 12x18.
12x18. Scott.
And then there it is.
It's so good. So good. I love the expression on Marvin also.
Yeah, that's the best part too. It goes from a sort of a angry face to sort of a like just amazed, sort of like, oh, that's kind of cute. So
it's kind of cute, yeah, because he's not angry. It's not that because he's always angry because he's getting
exactly, yeah.
You make me so angry. No, we're done with that. Now you're gonna be, oh, look at that. I bought that, by the way. No, I didn't buy that one because I didn't know, but I did buy that one.
No, I didn't buy that one. Yeah.
So
it's
we have someone like I don't know, anonymously, like apparently like stuff's moving on the site. So whatever's going on right now, people are just purchasing. So if you find something, just hit the buy button. Look at what you're gonna get in the cheers to that. You're gonna get the Batman. You're gonna get the Hellboy pin. You're gonna get a Wicked.
Gonna get this little.
Oh, I can't wait
that thing is. I love that. It's probably one of my the Captain America one, and this one is probably my favorite. I think. Love it.
All right, so I need the Batman thing. Like you just wait, dude. Wait till if I could show. Like how much do I love Batman? This is, to me, the ultimate Batmobile is the 1989 Batmobile. And do you remember the Franklin Mint stores? No. Oh, you don't remember?
Franklin Mint? No.
Franklin Mint, yes. They made all these things. And so Franklin Mint made this also. And check this out, man. The guns come out and then the pop. dude, if I could ever have a car, you and I are going to cruise in this thing. Okay. And I want the real jet engine in the back. I'm just saying this is the ultimate Batmobile for me. So getting to that point, and as we close out tonight, I wanted to ask, so we're adults now, like age-wise, we're adults.
Okay.
And legally can consume alcoholic beverages.
True.
And what I find hilarious and I love and I enjoy it is, you surround yourself. My whole studio is filled with, helmets and whatever and axes and, Mjolnirs. I could recreate. This is solid. I could recreate Endgame right now for you with the shield and this. And because it's Comic-Con, come on now. Stormbreaker, right?
You are my son. You know that, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And then, of course, what I would say, Fabio, was you get the little one, right? And so just like the movie. So anyway, getting into like enjoying this stuff and, we're playing in this world. Is there something like I've got toys and stuff everywhere? Kind of enjoy being able to be a kid as an adult.
Yes, because as I'm right here in the studio, I refaced everything. So I moved everything towards the center. There is right here, there is a 3 by 4 foot print of the last scene of Ocean's 11. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Lawford, and Davis all looking at each other as they realize the coffin they filled with money was burnt. There's also a Pac-Man Galaga arcade right here that I needed to have in the studio, which I love.
Yes.
Then over here, over one of my printers, is a collection of Dunnies, right? And it is Keith Haring, Basquiat. There's a couple of Keith Harings, a couple of Basquiats, a couple of Warhols. And there's also a Bob Ross stuff.
You gotta love Bob Ross. Happy little trees, man. Happy little trees.
Exactly. So, and then I have, there's a Stan Lee book. I have things in here that I enjoy. There's a book about Negronis. But probably at the end of the day, I have just a little 2 mid-century chairs sitting right here and an extensive collection of booze. And this is my happy place. I've turned it into a place where I come in here and I create art because I'm surrounded by the things that I like. But the Galaga machine, I play the thing 3 times a day. And my kids they have high scores and games, and I hate them because I grew up playing these things and they beat the shit. I mean, they beat me at them.
Yes.
Horribly. So, but at the end of it, there's a lot of things in here that I just enjoy. That when I reinvented, sort of created everything back around. There are things in here that I wanted to have that are just part of me being an adult and part of me being a kid. And the Keith Haring and Basquiat and Warhol stuff that's over there. And that's just a small part of it. I have an entire collection of Gary Baseman a vinyl that is it's in storage right now just because I'm still not done in here. But it's they're called the Dunces. And to have all 6 of them is pretty much, it's almost unheard of, or you'll pay an arm and a leg for them. And my wife found the last one a couple of years ago, and she ended up getting it from somebody in Europe. So I have all 6 of them, and it's just little toys here and there. I do have my toys. So
as you should. So
yeah,
I find because one thing we haven't done is kind of like looked around the studio, what's around you, that kind of stuff. I think it's for people, like it's cool for me to see other artists and what they have like in there to be like, so what are you surrounding yourself with? So we've got, I'm getting the hook now, and before we depart, Ivan who's watching on YouTube has asked to see an image of the mini Marvin print before we go.
The mini
one. You got a mini Marvin print?
This one?
Yeah, but I think so. But the mini.
Yeah, but this is, I think what Chuck Jones has is very small. This one is just done because I expect a revisit of this one. So that's why this was printed ahead of time.
Gotcha.
And I also wanted to use it in comparison to the one that was done.
Okay. All right. So hopefully, Ivan, that answers your question, because Ivan, if you, like me, have bought that one, it's not that size. It's 6x9. Scott didn't tell us these things. Fine, whatever. And then there we go. All right. We're gonna bring this down, dude. And it's been a 2 hours and 15 minutes now, which, by the way, beats our record from last time because we were 2 hours and 8 minutes on my show. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, we went an extra 7 minutes. I like beating records.
So what's gonna happen next time is they're gonna have to go for 3 hours.
And they're going to be like, sweet Lord, no, what are we going to have to do? And then we're just going to do giveaways. We're going to be like, if you watch at the hour 2 mark, we're going to give away something there. And at the hour 3 mark, we're going to do this. So that's how we'll keep them. And it'll be a marathon. Scott said a 24-hour marathon. Yeah, whatever. I could do that. So to wind this all down, dude, when they announced they were doing virtual ComicCon again, I was stoked. And they asked, would you host the shows? And I said, absolutely. And then they said who was coming in. And it's a thrill for me to be able to talk to you every single time because, like you had mentioned earlier, Beck, there's no ego in any of this. And it's just regular people hanging out, talking what they love doing. And that's kind of like the basis of all of it. And you're a very naturally approachable individual. And I found that from the start. And, I got all like, oh, like Fabio followed me on Instagram like the day after our interview. I'm like, but he's him and I'm me. And why would you do that? And so, and it was like kind of cool. And just the back and forth has been great. And that kind of camaraderie. And you're a wonderful human being who has a wonderful story and who's very inspiring. And I'm sure, and I know that everybody, that sees these things gets that same feeling. Because it's just very natural. So I want to thank you for coming out. Thank you for doing the show. Thank you for creating all these wonderful pieces and sharing kind of your insights on things. Thank your wife for letting you hop on for 2 hours and 17 minutes now. And what would you like to say as we part off to the audience?
Well, once again, thank you, because if it wasn't probably for the hook being pulled, we literally could probably sit here for another 45 minutes.
Yes, we would.
My wife knows. You and I could just sit here. I'm like, can you just make me another one of these? I'm going to keep talking to Ben. So everybody else would be asleep. But you make it easy. Everybody at Chuck Jones makes it easy. I love this because unlike when I do it for other galleries, I basically have to do all aspects of it. And I'm very gracious and appreciative that you host it, and that Scott and Patrick and it just Greg, everybody, is in here. You're watching and you're contributing, and everybody plays a role to make this event successful. This event last year was the most successful event I had all year, and the most compliments from everybody. And I think it's because it's natural. There's nothing that's forced. We're just sitting here. We're basically, we're just kind of shooting the shit, talking back and forth, sharing our personal aspects. This isn't just all about me. This is about you. We talk about Scott. We talk about Chuck Jones. It's a plethora of just a good time. And I enjoy doing these things. I look forward to, let's just hope that next year ComicCon is in person and we're able to go to San Diego and we're all able to sit there, have a great conversation, have something similar to this where people can sit there and enjoy this back and forth and, in person. And then you're able to, again, shake hands and hug people and just enjoy what ComicCon is supposed to be. Yes. So with that being said, don't slack. Don't be one of those guys that says, I'm going to do this with you and then leave me hanging.
Oh.
So.
Oh. As Amber Price will contest is not the word I'm looking for. She'll confess to this, whatever. She'll witness, whatever. Oh, it's on. Okay. It is on. I'm not going to ghost you.
Yeah.
So that piece, I'll get to it in a minute.
So, and I'm sure Scott right now is going like this, like, so we'll do it, and then we'll do it through Chuck Jones, and we'll make it happen. And maybe, you know, if it all works well, maybe we can have 1, 2, 3 pieces maybe by ComicCon next year. So
I'm down. I'm totally down for it. I'll be living in your area around there, hopefully at that point too, which makes it a little easier. And here's, you know, as next time, so we didn't get to it this time, because like I said, we could go another 45 minutes. I want to get to tattoos and then our daughters and the MCU, because we have a thing with this. And I just want to let you know, as we say goodbye to everybody, Maya and I, she's like, Dad, maybe we should watch all the MCU films in chronological order together. And I'm like, I love you. Yes. You are no longer my third favorite. You're now tied for second. No, I'm kidding. It didn't go like that.
my third.
So we watched the whole thing. We watched the whole thing, and we ended up with Black Widow. We'll get to that at another point. All right. So MCU, our daughters, and tattoos. All right.
Tattoos.
2 different things. And I just want to say, dude, thank you again. You guys are wonderful. I'm so glad that we did this. Thank you, Scott, Robert, everybody at Chuck Jones for giving me the opportunity to be like, okay, fine. We'll let him drink a margarita and talk to people. Yes, Scott Dickin, this is still on. It's still on. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Good night. Everybody enjoy your weekend.
Enjoy your weekend.
Oh my God.
Oh, sweet mercy.